Can you open the door? Open the door when I tell you!
Video, I started getting a lot of messages like to my Instagram from like actual like aircraft commanders, like squadron commanders.
No kidding.
I had a squadron commander from North Carolina reach out to me. They had to load a C-17 full of supplies just to take a photo op for Kamala, and they never sent the bird.
Wait a minute, what?
They loaded an entire C-17 full of supplies for the hurricane victims just for Kamala to go there, take a photo, take a video, and they never sent the C-17. It was just
Are you
full.
serious?
Yeah, that was a National Guard, North Carolina National Guard unit. That was a 06 that reached out to me. And then I had another.
He reached out to you to tell you that they did a photo op and with the intention of never sending.
Never sent it. It was just a photo op. And then also from that video, I started getting a lot of messages like to my Instagram from like actual like aircraft commanders, like squadron commanders.
No kidding.
I had a squadron commander from North Carolina reach out to me. They had to load a C-17 full of supplies just to take a.
Joining us now, Jonathan.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What's up, man? You went thermonuclear viral with that clip.
Yeah, that one did go kind of crazy. That wasn't the first video that went kind of crazy on that one. That one was pretty interesting because they kind of debunked that story in like 24 hours after it aired.
Well, that's pretty fast.
And I was just kind of like, oh, that's the one you guys want to, die on the hill with that one. But I'm like, why aren't you debunking the other stories? But when I started looking into it, it brings up a lot of other questions being prior Air Force with that. Like one, when they actually posted the article of the flight logs of that plane, the first flight for that plane going to Asheville was October 3rd. And that was, I think, a Thursday. And the hurricane hit on Friday night or Saturday, I think it was. So it's like, why are we just now sending one C-17, which I didn't even know the tail number, but apparently they knew. I can tell you from being in the Air Force, we have a lot of C-17s. So it's like, why is there one C-17 going? And then they said the first time, the reason it didn't take off was because of a pressurization issue. Well, if you go on flight radar, which they attached to the article, it never went above 10,000 feet. You don't even need oxygen until 12,500. I know this because I'm a pilot. I've been flying for 10 years. I'm also an air traffic controller, skydiver. I have a degree in aeronautics. So I know what I'm talking about here. I fly my own plane. Yeah. That's not pressurized. So I never go above 12.5. And from Charlotte, even on flight radar, from Charlotte to Asheville, it's either a 22-minute flight or about a 30-minute flight. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's just some kind of rule where they can't take off because of the maintenance issues. But then they unloaded that plane, put it in another C-17, and that one had a fuel problem. So then they had to reload to another plane. So they obviously have multiple C-17s there, but it's like, why only sending one? And why aren't we sending the entire cavalry dropping off supplies?
So I want to maybe take it because you've already explained to Sean Ryan sort of the setup here, but I want to very, very quickly explain the setup. First off, you're an expert in all of this. You're a veteran yourself. You work in the Florida National Guard. So you
state guard.
State Guard.
Yeah, not National Guard.
We wish. Yeah. You should nationalize the Florida Guard. So you work in the State Guard. You know these operations. Mm-hmm. You've flown these operations before. So you have an incredible pedigree and have established a lot of sources inside of this community. And so what happened? Somebody reached out to you and said this Kamala Harris photo op with a C-17 filled with a bunch of hurricane relief, that's fake. That Kamala faked it, and that relief never got to Americans. That's what happened?
Yeah, so I got a message on Instagram, and I will say I did get this part wrong. I did get his rank and position wrong. It was not the squadron commander, but I probably received about 100,000 messages. And when I received that message about a week ago, it is about a week until I actually talked about that on the show. But he was a very high-level officer in that unit specifically, and he was like, we loaded that C-17. It disrupted all the operations. They loaded it the day she was coming there just for her to take a photo opportunity. And he said that plane is never going to depart to Asheville. And he was very upset about it. So I actually do believe that individual really did believe it was not going to go. And it comes up to another thing, it's leadership. It's like, why wasn't the command, I guess, telling their people, hey, this is not just a photo opportunity. This is going to depart. And then the other part is like, if we had 2 C-17s break down, why is our military fleet not in good order to respond to something? Like, what if we actually had to respond to a war crisis or something, immediate like this? Maybe we're sending too much money overseas and not putting it into the maintenance of our own aircraft. So it's just like, how did 2 C-17s break down? And finally, we got a third one that made it there. Just seems kind of strange to me.
So what is so that clip, we played it, we covered it.
Yeah.
That went crazy. You had a source telling you about this. So that was accurate though, in the sense that
it was accurate at that time.
That plane didn't take off.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris did stand in front of a plane that didn't deliver the material she was loading onto it. I don't know exactly what they were loading.
Yeah, at the time it was accurate.
Yeah.
After I did re-speak to him further on, he did confirm the plane did depart. But I mean, it kind of goes back to all those questions I had. Is like, why did it take October 3rd for the first time for that plane to go?
Yeah.
Why didn't it leave on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday? It only left after Kamala went there to go get her photo op. And like, I can tell you from working at multiple airfields, because people are like, oh, you're only working at one airfield. I was probably going to about 4 to 5 different airfields a day. And yeah, there was a lot of military there, a lot of National Guard, but I can't tell you how many civilian birds were flying in supplies there. And it's just like, okay, well, if we were bringing all these supplies in from the government, why is there such a need for civilians to bring in that many supplies? Why am I going out there in a civilian helicopter, dropping off food to people, dropping off insulin, EpiPens?
Yes.
So it's just like, and I do want to make this clear and give a shout out to Terry Neal. He's the air boss for the North Carolina National Guard out there. And he was running around the clock operations with his crew. I mean, they were busting their butt out there. All the National Guard guys were. There just weren't enough of them.
Yeah.
Because the level of mass destruction that this hurricane brought wasn't just one river, one lake. It was widespread. So there just wasn't enough for them to cover the entire ground, even though they were running basically 24/7 ops out there. So you had to bring in civilian helicopters, and good on Americans, they're not going to wait around for the government to send in the cavalry. We sent our own cavalry in and went and rescued these people. And I think it's a big part people really need to think about is like, why did the government not activate 82nd Airborne there on Sunday or Saturday? They have all their units there. I mean, JSOC, the tier 1s, the best of the best. Delta Force, DevGroove, the 2-4 STS, PJs. I had my friends from the 2-4. They're like, we can't get authorization to go there. I had PJs sitting in Asheville Airport on Blackhawks waiting for Title 10 orders. And they flew all the way from Arizona. Like, you're telling me we can't get that authorized? And another big thing I thought about.
It's crazy.
We kept running into like search and rescue teams out there from out of state, and they were there for profit. So, and I asked them, like, how does this work? North Carolina put out a notice that we needed help, and then they would bid on the job. Like, this is how much it's going to, like, we'll charge to come do these jobs. So North Carolina has time to put out bid notices to do search and recovery, but not enough time to request Title 10 orders or activate more National Guard. So their priorities are just all jacked up. And it's like, to me, I would think someone's probably getting a nice kickback there.
Wow.
But it's just like, how do you have time for that, but not enough time to activate your entire military that's right there in North Carolina?
Yeah, Fort Bragg, right? Like,
there's massive. How many 82nd Airborne troops are there? I don't know, tens of thousands.
Wow.
So they could have established command and control. They could have said, hey, no civilians are allowed in this area. Military or government is taking full authority. We're bringing in 100,000 troops, 300 helicopters. Civilians stay out. We got it handled. That never happened. When I was up there, there'd be a pocket here. We're in control here. We're in control here. There wasn't like a centralized nervous system where everything was just operating functionally. And that's kind of like how we do in Florida. Like, I just got done doing, Helene and Hurricane Milton. Everything flows to the top. Everything flows out from the top. There's just, everyone works together. There's no power grab. And that's what was going on out there. People were trying to like, oh, I'm establishing authority. I'm establishing authority. It's because there was no command and control. There was no leadership there in North Carolina.
So it remains a mystery to me. Why would they do for profit when there already is something that we all paid for called the American military? Why would they be running for profit operations? And so much military is based, again, in that state. Presumably the governor could call upon it at any time. I know how this works, right? You're going to need state. The president can't order the military into a state, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is unconstitutional. But the governors can call for it. The governors can request it. And typically it's a political suicide if a governor's like, we've had a horrible disaster, please send in the military. Here's a good example. Katrina. The governor of Louisiana said, please, and the mayor of New Orleans said, please send in the 82nd Airborne. In 24 hours, man, you had like 10,000 well-trained, we paid for them, operators that were able to help and save people in Katrina. What the hell didn't that happen? It's a much shorter trip to go to Asheville than to go to New Orleans.
It's a failure of leadership. I mean, like, I don't know where the governor of North Carolina was. And I kept hearing that from a lot of people. I actually heard them, they said, I think it was on Tuesday, they're like, the governor and his staff has been AWOL for like 3 days.
Wow.
You know, and there was just no leadership. There was no command and control. Nothing was really being done. And that's when I made that first video, because I was just so disgusted with the politics, because I kept seeing the video that we posted. We rescued this 11-day-old premature baby, and it was being shared all over for just, you know, dog and pony shows. And I was just like, you guys got time to post all that and write articles on it, but you don't have time to establish command and control and bring in more troops in here and bring in more government services. And I was just like, that's when I was so just irritated by it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this out there. Probably going to catch a lot of heat for it. Glad I didn't, other than some stupid people that don't believe me. But it brought in so much support. I think after I posted that video, I had more civilians up there with helicopters.
Wow.
I had so many like military commanders reaching out to me, like actual commanders, friends from the military that I knew. And they're just like, we can't get access in there. Like, they're like, we're just being denied. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. Why can't we get these people in here? But after that video, things started changing. And then I think when Joe Biden arrived, I think on that Thursday, he announced like, oh, we're going to activate like another, don't quote me on this, I think he said another 1,000 troops or something like that. And I'm like, man, it's been like a week and 1,000 troops. Like, that's it. The first time I actually started seeing, besides the National Guard birds that were doing all the rescues, and they were doing a ton of rescues, when I actually started seeing like 82nd Airborne come in there, I think that was on Saturday, and I would chat with them. And I even chatted with this one guy, 82nd Airborne Black Hawk crew, and he was kind of reluctant to talk to me at first, but then we started chatting, and his only mission there was to fly colonels and VIPs. And he was mad about it because he was from that area. He's like, these are my people. I want to go help them. And he's like, my only job is to fly VIPs around. And it was just like, you can't make this stuff up. And to the audience, if it all sounds crazy, it doesn't make sense. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. Like, nothing was making sense there.
So I've lived in one active National Guard deployment zone, which was on Capitol Hill after January 6th. The National Guard took over all of Washington, D.C. They did so also during the Antifa riots, Antifa BLM riots that summer. There was like rampant attacks on memorials and attack on people outside the White House. And they just ordered in the National Guard. I've seen them deploy because they set up camp right next to the armory, which was where my house was. And I've seen these guys get on the ground and like completely militarize all of DC. All of DC was under total and complete martial law. And there's curfews, and there were tanks, like armored vehicles rolling through my neighborhood. And I saw I saw the activation. It was really impressive. And you could see what the full capabilities of the American military up close in deployment. And I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I said, man, this is impressive. All of those issues aside of why they were deploying. Okay, so set all that aside, the American military is very, very impressive up close and also maintains great order, right? You're never going to step to these guys. All of the vandalization with BLM and stuff, that stopped instantly as soon as like the National Guard was protecting Lincoln Memorial. Yeah, the graffiti stopped, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, Democrats clearly can call for the National Guard to be mobilized in very impressive ways, because I've watched it happen in my front freaking yard in DC. They can call for the National Guard to be mobilized when it's politically convenient for them. But it seems like this just isn't politically convenient for them.
They could have done it. I mean, they activated, I think, a few thousand, and they activated a bunch of National Guard assets. But I'm like, why wouldn't you just activate everything within the area? And if you have too much, then pull them back.
Sure.
Like, go activate every unit you can, get everything there. And because, I mean, when I showed up there on Sunday, we didn't stop doing rescues until I think it was Wednesday was our final rescue of people we actually did. But even on that Friday, I remember flying out to one town where we were the first contact for those people. And so basically, I think it was like 6 days. And they were like, you're the first people to reach us. And I was like, really? And we were just bringing like food and supplies. And I was just like, I was so shocked by it. But it's just like, why wouldn't you bring in everything? It's literally one phone call for these people to do it.
Of course.
Like, I see how we respond in Florida. I mean, like, even when I was just going down I-75 the other day, there was thousands of linemen, like I think thousands of sheriff department. There was one airfield where I was at. There was thousands of linemen there. And I'd go to North Carolina. I would see a lot of linemen out there, and they were working. I mean, they were working their butts off. But I'm like, why am I not seeing like tens of thousands of linemen out here? And I think it's because they just were not requested. I did hear that the governor of North Carolina never requested like federal assistance or something initially. And that's why I guess they couldn't activate like, I don't know, Title 10 or whatever. I don't know how that works, but still, it should have just been a simple phone call from the governor saying, cut all red tape. We need help. We need everyone here. People are actually dying if we don't get these people out. And then we'll figure out all the paperwork later on. They didn't do that.
It creates conspiracy theories. I'm saying that what it does by not doing that makes people think that they want these predominantly red Trump areas to suffer. And then the governor, I want to name and shame, his name's Roy Cooper. He's a Democrat in North Carolina. And it couldn't be any different than what we saw here in this state during the hurricane. Now, I live in Tampa. Tampa is known as one of the areas that still Democrats still have a marginal slight edge on Republicans in this state, although that I think is receding actually quite swiftly. But it's not like DeSantis let Tampa drown or burn because it has a Democrat mayor, right? This Florida State Guard was ready, and I saw it, bro. I have like this. I took a video for 3 straight minutes of personnel carriers, of armored units, of National Guard, rolling State Guard, I presumably in National Guard, rolling towards Tampa on my way evacuating. Linemen, there was miles of them, miles of those trucks, heavy movers, heavy lifters, all heading towards the fire, right? All heading towards the sound of the gunfire into the hurricane before it even hit. When everyone thought it might have hit like a Cat 5 and it could wipe the city off the map entirely, they were all on their way. And you're saying that none of that happened in North Carolina.
No, literally, it was almost like the government was non-existent. I think we kept saying the term. We felt like we were in like Walking Dead. Wow. We would just like roll up and people like, yeah, we're in charge here. And he rolled to like another place and we're in control here. And it was just like, it was so weird. It's like you were in another country. I would run to like a bunch of like former soft guys, like at Harley Davidson. They were running an awesome operation out of there. And they're like, yeah, we're just going out here doing missions. We're doing airdrops. We're bringing generators, chainsaws, fuel, food. And you're just like, it's just crazy. But without those people, these people would have been dead.
Do you think that this last hurricane that hit 5 days ago in Florida, do you think that could have been like North Carolina had we not had leadership of Ron DeSantis in the state?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like you talk about how the State Guard was rolling out. We left here in the Panhandle, I want to say like 4 or 5 o'clock, like the day before the hurricane was hitting. And we were staged in Gainesville. And then around, I want to say midnight, we were already pushing toward Tampa, and we were staying outside the eye wall. I think we were in Brooksdale or something, somewhere north of Tampa. And like literally as soon as that eye passed and we knew it was safe enough, we were already going into St. Pete and Tampa. Like me and my very senior combat controller, Ken Human, me and him actually went to St. Pete Airfield and cleared it at like, I think 2 a.m. So we cleared the whole airfield. It was good to bring operations in, like emergency aircraft, medical supplies. And then me and him went to all the hospitals in St. Pete and Tampa and cleared all the helicopter pads, the landing pads on top of the hospitals. And then from there, we went down to Sarasota, cleared that airfield all before sunrise. Now, I remember when we sent that information up to the state, they were just like, we didn't know you guys even had that capability. And they were just like, this is so impressive. But that's what happens, like, because DeSantis is so good at this. He's like, let these operators do operator stuff. Let them off the leash. These guys will go find work. They want to find work. And that's what we did. We just went out there and we were just like a bunch of pirates just spread and good command and control. But we're like, hey, we're going to go task this. We're going to go task this. This team go here. This team go here. And that's what we did. And we just went out there and made stuff happen. But in addition to that, all the agencies that we were working with, sheriff, police, National Guard, military, you name it, we were all working together in sync. Yeah. We all had one centralized command and control. That way, if I reported a down power line here, everyone saw that. We actually have an app system for that. Like there's a down tree here on the road here, there's a down power line here. And everyone, the linemen see it, the police see it. There's no one was asking me for my orders. I'm literally running around in an unmarked like police vehicle in Tahoe with a gun on my hip and it just says Florida State Guard. And police weren't like, hey, give me your papers. Where's your badge? Yeah. Like, it was just like, hey, thank God you guys are here. Let's go do work together. And we all worked together as like one big team. And North Carolina, it was not like that at all. I had people asking me for my papers. How are you authorized to be here? And I'm just like, I'm here trying to save people. Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you? Like,
That's right.
this is what you're worried about?
I thought this was America, right?
Like,
yeah.
Do I look like me and my team are a bunch of looters? Like, we came up here in the middle of late Lord, like let us in. We want to do work. And again, failure of leadership. Everything comes down to leadership. We got strong leadership here in Florida. And I mean, so good that they sent us up to North Carolina to go rescue trapped Floridians in the mountains. That's actually why we went there. Because there was known Florida residents there, and DeSantis wasn't going to wait around for North Carolina to figure it out. He's like, I'm going to send my guys to go get my people out. And that's what we did.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like on a miniature level, like on a state level, like America does that when Americans are trapped in some type of natural disaster or war zone. But you're doing it because Floridians, a lot of Floridians go and chill in the mountains during the hot weeks of the summer here.
Yeah.
And so you're going up there to save Floridians.
That was our mission up there, was to get the Floridians out and then just assist anybody that we saw. Because a lot of the people out there, like the command centers that were established out there, they can only give you what they know, like missions. So a lot of these people are so remote in the mountains. There's no cell phone service to even begin with.
Sure.
Now there's no Wi-Fi. They don't have Starlink. The only way they can communicate with you is by literally carving SOS in the mud or painting SOS on the ground. That's how we'd find these people. We literally just fly the helicopters in the middle of nowhere and look for distress signals or people waving at us and SOS, and then we would just drop down and pick them up.
Wow.
Because there's no way for them to say, hey, I need help. So
what were the operators saying on the ground there, right? Don't have to name names, don't have to tell me who, but like what was the mood on the ground there for people who you understand how they work, you understand how it works in the best scenario, which is what you had during the Florida hurricane. What were the operators on the ground in North Carolina saying? They must be incredibly frustrated.
Like the military operators?
Yeah.
I never saw any active like military operators. Everyone was former SOF operators, and they were just taking over to help the people. There was no like military special
You didn't
operators.
see any of any?
No.
Did you see any FEMA? You see anything like that?
So I personally never saw FEMA. I saw a FEMA security team. They were at one of our staging locations. They're all former SOF guys, but I would see them. They're wearing body armor, long guns. And I was just kind of like, what are you guys doing? You about to go like do a hit? And they're like, oh, we're here for security. They're like, that's just, FEMA brings us to every like disaster. And I was like, oh, okay, they were cool. But I never saw
security for who?
I guess for
what?
FEMA people. So I never saw.
So
FEMA.
like against their fellow Americans, like they're there to protect, like against the mountain
I
people.
think they were
North
there to
Carolina,
like protect maybe like food storages and those kind of things. But I never saw FEMA personally. A couple of my teammates did. They had some very bad interactions where one of my teammates actually threatened to detain one of them. He was like, "I'm actually going to put you in like flex cuffs and throw you in that helicopter." Because I don't want to give that whole story because I don't remember all the details. But I remember he was telling me about it. And he was just like, I thought I was going to arrest these FEMA people and throw them in a helicopter because they were trying to like either stop them from doing something or kick them out. And they were just like not happening. And then the former Green Berets working out of Harley in Nashville, FEMA came over to them, I guess was trying to shut down their operation. And they were all just like hands on guns and like not going to happen. And
so these rumors are true about the federal government stepping in to try and stop private operations that are helping people.
I say those two stories. I did not witness those two, but those are from people I know that are. Wow. One of them is my teammate, and the other one, very credible Green Beret, former Green Beret.
So the federal government's pointing guns at people, trying to help, saying stop helping.
I don't know if they're pointing guns. I've been getting a ton of messages about like FEMA stopping supplies and stopping this.
Wow.
I think a lot of that is probably happening in the city of Asheville. We didn't really do a lot of operating in Asheville because most of the disaster was outside, and the people that can't even drive to Asheville to get supplies, they're the ones that actually need the supplies. So I'm sure there was a whole different picture of what was going on in Asheville, but like I would just tell people, hey, bring supplies to this airport, this location. Don't even worry about trying to contact FEMA or the government. Just bring it to these private citizens, and they'll push it out from there.
What an incredible fit. Do you think it's on purpose? It's hard to put this amount of incompetence together and not say that there's some malevolence. At some point, right, gross incompetence actually equals malevolence, no matter what your intentions are. And it's almost like this was designed to fail.
I think if this would have happened in a very blue city, you would have seen all the response there to help.
If this was Philadelphia,
there'd have been everything.
They would have called they would call the United Nations for a binding resolution, right?
I think our government is just that dumb, that incompetent. And like, I mean, if you just look at them, everything they do is a reflection of them, and they're horrible at it. They destroy this country. I think the day I was flying up to North Carolina, I think they announced like 8 billion for Ukraine, 8 billion for Israel, I think 127 billion for Lebanon. All I've heard from North Carolina is $750 if you file a claim. And I went on the news and talked about this, but I'm like, these people have no way to even access that $750. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
What are they going to buy? They can't Instacart food to their house. They're 20 miles is the nearest road.
How are they going to file a claim online when they don't have internet?
And they'll probably have to pay taxes. They'll probably have to put on their tax return, like, oh, I received $750 and paid 25%, tax on it. But it's just like, I don't know if the government just hates its own people that much, or if they're trying to kill them. I hear there's lithium in the mountains. I don't know if they open up a lithium mine there next month. Maybe that's true. But it's just like, they're so bad at their job. It's mind blowing. Like when I tell people the story, they're just like, none of this makes sense. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense, because they just don't know what they're doing. Then you go to a state like Florida and you're just like, wow, everything is being done that can be done. And even beyond what I could even imagine to put together for a plan. But I don't know. I don't have the right answer for that. But I mean, if these people still vote for that governor of North Carolina, you just can't fix stupid. Like, I mean, he literally let these people die out there. Like, I mean, we ran into one lady that had 1 day left of fuel in her generator to run her oxygen machine. And like, we were her basically last hope to get her out. And it's just like, how is this happening? How is the entire military, government, the cavalry not here, boots on the ground? And that's what the people of North Carolina and the people around the nation, they got to think about, like, why is this happening? Why aren't we helping our fellow Americans? Why are we so concerned about sending money to other countries? Why aren't we putting that into our own military to fix our planes, to keep them at a ready state? Why aren't we sending more troops? Why is this happening? And why aren't we hearing more about it? And that's what people got to figure out. I can't figure it out for you, but I can tell you what I saw on the ground up there, and that's what I'm doing.
Well, the most honorable thing you possibly can do. We've been working with Quarry Mills to send supplies up there. So we've been sending vans every single day to work with Quarry Mills to send supplies up there from our show. I don't have an operator background. I'm not sure if I'd be more of a hindrance than anything. I but we're doing whatever's asked of us. But you're like actually getting into the shit and being. I mean, this is real hero shit. I know you're going to say it's not. But from the rest of us, everyone in the audience is always asking. We've been covering this for weeks. Everyone's always asking, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Can you answer that question?
Yeah, there's so much you can do. I'll tell you a great example. I posted this on my post yesterday, but I had this female attorney named Elizabeth out of Charlotte. Amazing. And she texted me and she was like, I want to help, use my resources. She's like, I know I'm connected very well. And the first time I was like, okay, appreciate it. And then she texted me again. It's like, I want to help you. I want to bring you food. So I was like, okay, bring food for all the first responders up here. And she brought like a whole buffet of hot food and coffee, which is just amazing when you're not getting that. But I had this like ear issue going on where I think I was having like an ear squeeze from changing altitudes in the helicopter. So I was like, if you have an ear doctor, I know it's out there, but I was like, if you got an ear doctor, like my ear is actually hurting and I messed up my lower back during Helene in Florida moving a boat. My sciatic nerve would like hit sometimes. So I was like, do you got a chiropractor? And she was like, literally like in 10 minutes, she was like, food's coming. I got an ear doctor, stand by on chiropractor. And about 6 hours later, she's like, I have you a chiropractor. And this guy met me on a four-wheeler at a helicopter landing zone and adjusted me in about 2 minutes on the ground. I got back in the helicopter and went out and ran missions.
Bro.
Like I posted on my actual post, but like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be an operator to go help these people. You don't have to have a military background, a law enforcement. You could just literally help out first responders by getting hot coffee, food. Wow. I got a buddy actually from St. Pete, Savage Coffees, amazing coffee. The guy's originally from Naples. His boys live in St. Pete, and they have a coffee farm in Panama. And he messaged me and he was like, I want to help you. How can I help? And I was like, man, can you just send some of your good coffee, like instant coffee up here? Because I was like, I'm just drinking like horrible quality coffee. And he was like, done. And he sent like 700 packs of instant coffee and like just tons of coffee beans. So there's always a way for people to help. I mean, even that 13-year-old kid I post a lot in my feed, he was helping his dad run the airfield at Rutherford Airport. He was one that was helping us get the planes refueled, and just there's always something you can be doing, whether you're just donating money, donating toys for kids. Now we're kind of going into cold weather season. They're going to need jackets. They're going to need, socks. Wow. There's always something for everyone has a role to play. Yeah. So maybe it's just a connection of like, I can get you a chiropractor. You know, like, I know that sounds so silly, but like when you're running operations all day, I'm getting a little older, I'm 36 now, like things start to hurt a little bit more. And like when I came off that chiropractic table, I was just like, my God, I feel brand new. And I just felt refreshed because whenever I'd be moving, I was just hurting. That nerve was just hitting, and it was just driving me crazy. But even like my wife came up and was just unloading supplies from civilian planes, setting out food, just anything she could do. So there's something for everybody to do.
That's what America First is. You could also vote Trump. You could also like vote for a guy that would probably have sent the military in like before the storm even hit, would probably have been ready to go. Trump had a couple of big old hurricanes during his term as president, and they were well managed, right? They wanted to crucify Trump if he had like messed things up, and he did a good job, you know.
Very good.
Like he did a good job. You think Trump would have sent in the military?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He would have. He wouldn't have played around. There'd be no red tape.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what Governor DeSantis did for Florida. I think the hurricane hit, I think Friday night here, Helene. We were already prepping that Monday. Like we were already prepping everything. We were making our game plan. If hurricane moves here, if it moves here, we were getting all of our assets ready. So we were very well prepared. And then we're staged like literally within like an hour. Like we were staged in Tallahassee, and then we went right into Perry. And then
probably past you.
Yeah. We were literally like, just everything was set, ready to go. No red tape, no restrictions. Just do what you got to do to save life. And then you go to North Carolina, and then I even hear from military people, they're like, oh, we were on alert the day before the hurricane, and still to this day never been activated. But there was like, didn't seem like there was an alert plan. I will say the National Guard, talking to those guys, they were doing rescues the morning right after the hurricane. So they were getting after it. And they saved a lot of lives. But still, it's like, where's the rest of the government? Why aren't we getting more of these people out here? Where's the response? Why do you guys have time to put out bid notifications to bring in companies? Like, why are you paying companies to come here to clean up the rescue when you have the entire military National Guard here? That's a big one I really kind of want answered. Like, I really want that. I want people on the internet to go dig around on that one. It's just like, why are they putting out bid notifications? Why aren't they using their own state resources? Why aren't they using other state resources? Why are they hiring private companies to come in here and do the work? Like, is someone getting a 20% kickback?
Yeah,
because I'm sure
that's how it works, bro.
I'm sure those bids were not cheap. I don't think these task force were coming up there for $50,000.
It's probably Liz Cheney. Yeah.
Probably seven figures, I would think.
Yeah,
So,
Liz and Dick.
I mean,
Kamala endorsed.
I was running into so many guys from Alabama, like awesome guys from from Alabama, firefighters out there working. I'm like, what are you guys doing up here? They're like, oh, we're up here working. And I'm just like, roll Tide, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't believe it. But there was just so many of them and so few like North Carolina government. It was just, I don't know, man. It's a weird situation, but I say it's weird. It's not weird. I do believe it was intentional because they had all the time to fix it. Like they literally had like a week to fix it. And then it took them a week to be like, oh, we're finally doing everything. Honestly, once I started posting my videos, that's when all this whole misinformation campaign came back out. Like, I guess I activated it. I mean, I even got Hillary out of her closet to come online and start talking about misinformation. But like, I mean, I actually have the real videos. I'm posting this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking to the locals, and locals would even ask me, they're like, what's the North Carolina literally people in the middle of nowhere, they'd be like, what's the North Carolina governor doing about this? And I think it's another good point. These people in North Carolina did not realize the level of destruction. So when we would fly to them, they would say, just bring me like fuel for a week from my generator and bring me food for a week, and then I'll be good when they get the roads up. And I'd be like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, isn't the government like doing the roads and power lines right now? And I'm like, I just flew over 4 washed out bridges and probably 10 or 20 miles of washed out roads. Like, you probably won't have a road here for the next 2 to 4 months. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? And I would show them videos like when I'm over flying, and they're just like, oh, I did not know it was that bad. I'm like, this isn't just your river, your area. It's like all of North Carolina, Georgia, I think Virginia, Tennessee. And they had no idea because they had no way to like look at the internet. So they were just thinking the government was going to come save them like in a week and everything would be fine.
And all these guys are sitting around, they're not even activated. All these guys,
literally just sitting there waiting for either Title 10 orders or waiting to actually be called up by the governor. So I think a lot of people, they don't understand like how National Guard and military work. Like a commander of a National Guard unit can't just be like, hey, we're going into North Carolina. Like politicians have to make that order. Like the governor has to request. So as much as my boys and gals in the National Guard and military just want to say, hey, we're going into North Carolina, you can't do that. It has to come from the top down, and they request that. So all these people are requesting to go, and they're just crickets. Just they're not getting anything for it.
Just photo ops, and then shutting down all the flight patterns, like when Joe Biden
and then
fly over,
and then blasting me for misinformation. Like, oh, this guy's misinformation. I'm just like, I mean, okay, yeah, I got one little part wrong out of like 100 other parts. Why don't you go fact check the other stuff?
Yeah, bro, we have to come up with new conspiracy theories because all the old ones came true. So,
oh, you know what? While I'm on here, WRL News in Raleigh. I'm still waiting for my interview. They blasted, they fact checked my own video. This news reporter, I won't say his name because he'll probably try to sue me, but this dude fact checked my own video, took my own video down. I fought it, and the Instagram put it back up. But they asked me to do a news interview. I was getting like 1,000 messages a day. I didn't respond to them. So I guess that's why they fact checked me. But he was a news reporter for WRL, and he's also a fact checker on Facebook. And I blasted him on social media. He still hasn't responded to me. And I even text them. So yeah, WRL News, if you want to correct that that story, let me know. I will fly to you in my own plane on my own dime. I'm ready.
Bros, let's toss up Jonathan. Let's make sure that Jonathan gets a bunch of new subs today. Let's toss up. Is it your IG? Is this a
IG is what I'm on. I don't have my wife says I'm on TikTok now.
Instagram. Let's toss her up.
My
wife says I'm on Instagram now.
Is that my Facebook? No, that's my Instagram. Instagram is where I'm really active. I do have an X account. I've never posted on it. I follow I think 10 people. I'm never on it, but I'm gonna have to start being on X because I'm being censored all over Instagram and Facebook right now.
Get on X.
Yeah, you can put it up there. I sent it to your producer.
There we go.
That way people know it's not a fake profile or whatever. But yeah, no, it's
Hop in there, give him a sub, give him a follow. There we go. Make sure you're following. And then
I apologize.
When you start next, we'll blast it out too.
I apologize about the Instagram name. It's like an inside joke. The thick 38 broker. It's like a joke real estate thing. It's like a gym thing. So that's. People are just kind of like, what? I'm just like, yeah, I didn't know I was going to be.
Is this you on X?
That's me on X. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Fantastic.
Yeah. I'll start posting stuff on there just because, social media says I'm fake news.
Bro, we can get you your first followers on X. We've done it before, baby. We've done it before.
I don't think I have any followers.
The great ALX.
Yeah, I got no followers on X because I've never posted.
Producer Killer Klein's your first follow.
I only made an X account just so I could follow Trump, so I knew he wouldn't be censored. That was literally the only reason why. And then he actually retweeted my video. I was pretty shocked by it, but he got the info out there, and that's what needed to happen. Like the only thing I do want to say this is very, very important to me. Like,
dude, we're watching your follower account grow in real time. Come on, man. How many? 7 followers.
Oh yeah. Made it. So I do want to make this point though. Like my only intention of doing these news interviews and why I made these videos was to help these people because I literally felt it was a matter of life or death for them. And I was watching them out there. So some people have made accusations like, oh, you're just trying to make a bunch of money. I'm already rich. Like I'm already a multi-millionaire. I sold my business here in 38 2 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, I flew my own private plane to North Carolina to give you a level of where I'm at. So I don't need money. I've actually lost money by doing this. I've had to hand everything off to my business partners and people below me to run. So this isn't a financial thing. This isn't like an Instagram thing. Like I don't care about social media. Definitely not trying to be a politician. I will never be a politician. I hate politicians. There's only like 5 of them I like.
That sucks, bro.
Anna being one of them. Anna's a great one. She's a good friend. But like I have no thing trying to be Instagram famous, none of that. My only reason why I posted so many videos of this was to help these people because they were literally forgotten about and they were dying. And that was my only intent and still my only intent, even why I even come like on your show and reach out to people. It's just to bring awareness to these people because I even kind of feel like as of right now, the focus is kind of leaving Western North Carolina with everything else going on in the world. And these people are still months and months away from the recovery. And I mean, I'm actually going to go back up there probably this weekend or next week, me and Charlie. And Zeb, our buddy with the helicopter, we're going to start putting in more work up there. But I mean, I think from the time I was activated till the time I was done activated was 20 days of work. So that's why if people think I'm just trying to make a quick Instagram video, like, man, I just did 20 days of work out there. Like, I mean, I'm dwindling away. I've lost like 15 pounds and been eating like Little Caesars pizza and hot dogs, whatever I get my hands on. So yeah, I just want to make that very clear. My only intent is to help these people because these are our fellow Americans and these are good people. And it's really sad and disgusting what has happened to them.
Yes. Okay. So this is what the America First movement is all about. Everybody follow Jonathan. Everybody make sure. Okay, good. You have 104 followers now. All right, there you go. Hey, man, there we go. This is what we can do. All right, so this is what we can do. And then I want to go on one of these trips with you. I want to go on one of these trips. We got to stick through the election. We got to lock in for the election, and then I want to go up there. Like I want to go. Like I want to go up there and do like a full. I want to do a full bit.
I would like to. I'd like you to come up there with me and actually talk to these.
The hurricane hitting Tampa like sent us off because we were gonna go with Corey. We're gonna go with Corey Mills.
Because when you talk to the actual locals that have been living there on the ground the entire time, like you're just gonna be so shocked at what they say to you. And like now it's not just me repeating, you're hearing from the people that are living through this on a daily basis about where's my government, what's not being done. And it's disturbing, really.
Yeah. Well, now that you and I are connected, I'm gonna go maybe before the election. We'll see. We got to sort it out. I got to get back into our studio. But we'll like maybe before the election we go up there and we do Benny on the Block and like actually.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Like tell that story. This is what we can do, right? What we can do with it. They try and shut you down by calling you misinformation. It's a lot harder to do when you have 1 million subs, right? It's a lot harder to do that when you have a following that you can speak directly to, right? And that's how then these little like shitty reporters, those little shithead reporters, like for the local news stations,
WRL.
Like when you have a bigger following than them, then you just shadow box, man. You just like you can just like destroy them. Right. And then you can get them to delete things, right? Delete their misinformation. Yeah. So that's what we're going to help. That's what we're going to help you.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And then like also just for donations and helping out aerial recovery that I'm a part of. Yeah. They're spending an entire month up there. So they have about 3 more weeks as of now. They'll probably even extend it beyond that. So they're up there working. You can get with them.
Is this it right here?
Aerial recovery. Yep. That's it. Aerial recovery.
Okay, cool.
Amazing group ran by a former Green Beret and his wife, Brittany, and Charlie, my friend. He's like second in command there, but you can donate to them. The money's definitely going there to help the people. You can bring supplies up to them. They'll get it out to the right people. And then also like people don't usually, they kind of believe me now, but bird photography is kind of like my happiness. So that's like my shirt and stuff like that. But, I've always done this. I've never made $1 from my bird photography. It's just a passion I got into last year, and I like being in nature. I know I don't look like the guy, right? But one of the reasons why I got into it is I work with a lot of local charities here in Santa Rosa Beach, like Surf Brigade, and I work with one in Naples called Waterfront Warriors. And as much as I appreciate people who would just be like, "Here's a $10,000 check, here's $1,000, here's $20," I always felt kind of bad they weren't really getting anything in return. So I do like nice prints, t-shirts, coffee mugs, whatever. And I give these prints to people that donate, or if they buy from the store, every $1, there's no salary for me. There's nothing, like every $1 that they use to buy that print, it goes right to charity. And so what I did for this one was anything that's sold from basically last week to the end of the year, everything is going to the victims in North Carolina to help them out. So, go buy
this one right here.
Yeah, this is actually this is a reflection. People think I mirrored it, but I took this in May when I was in Chile in Argentina. But this is actually on a saltwater lake up at 8,500 feet elevation in the Atacama Desert. So this is actually the reflection off the water. It's not a mirrored image. But like I auctioned one of these off for a friend here in Navarre. They had flood damage to their house, and we auctioned that print off. So everything I do for that is just it's for charity. So if you want to support while also getting something, this is a great way to do it. I mean, I think a t-shirt's like $18. It's nothing crazy. So
can you show the people? Can you show
what's that?
The shirt. I don't know.
Oh, the shirt? Yeah. I mean,
yeah, look at that.
You can even get it on a phone case if you want.
There you go.
I mean, like, yeah. So this is one of my more popular ones, but I mean, it's just my way basically of saying thank you to people that donate money and give back to them, because I appreciate them being so generous. Yeah.
You see the fish. You got a fish. I don't think it's a real fish. There's a giant fish. Fish and the birds get along. Up here in the Panhandle, man, it's like great energy. It's been so awesome to like actually have so many people reach out, so many incredible people like come on the show, and maybe we'll do this more often. I would love to do a mission with you.
Yeah, I would love to make that happen. I mean, it's all about bringing awareness, because I can tell you from the time I posted that very first video, the amount of support we got from even just government and civilian was like night and day difference. Like the amount of supplies that were coming up there, even people that just lived like in Charlotte were not aware of how bad it was, because they just weren't reporting what was actually going on. I even should say this is another good conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. Aerial recovery was actually escorting CNN up there at Lake Lure, and the sheriff denied CNN to videotape the bad areas. Like they would not allow them to videotape the really bad areas. And that's why I'm like, man, you know things are bad when CNN can't even actually report the real news.
Chat, that's shady as hell.
Yeah, very shady.
Yeah.
Very, and I should also say this: like there was people throwing Republican congressmen under the bus. I think they were purposely trying to sabotage their election. I think his name's Tim Moore, Speaker of the House, North Carolina. When we were getting there, everyone was telling us the Speaker of the House was denying aerial recovery access into Lake Lure, and like nothing was making sense. And Tim Moore actually reached out to us and was like, "That was not me. Like, I don't know who is saying that." And so it's like, but another good read, it's like, who is saying that? Why are people saying the Speaker of the House is doing that? I think people were literally intentionally trying to sabotage that guy running for re-election.
Dude.
Yeah. So there's a lot of weird things going on over there.
It's demonic, man.
It's very demonic. This government is demonic. They're evil. They're a bunch of pedophiles. Like, I hate them all. I wish we hate. Yeah. Okay. Never mind.
America first versus America last. America first versus America last.
I was about to go off, but I mean.
Hey, you got next now. You got next.
Yeah.
Put it up.
Yeah.
Free speech, baby.
Yeah.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
take me on one of these. I want to let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. And then we'll bring more eyeballs to what you're doing and show people what America first actually looks like.
Yeah. And also, if I wind up dead, I'm not suicidal and did not hang myself. So I would never do that.
Yes. Mint it. Put it up. It's rock and roll. Oh, interesting.
It's probably my truck blocking out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably okay. That's your cost.
I appreciate
Security
it.
showing up
Thank
in the
you,
fish
Vinny.
cabin.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, Jonathan. See you, baby.